This is just... It's something to keep their hands busy. I'm grateful you tracked me down when you did. As exciting as wandering the woodlands was, this is better. It's good to be part of something so important. Something that could change things.
I'm pleased that you feel that way.
Makes me sound like a chantry sister, doesn't it? Some giddy new initiate. But so be it. I suppose you've earned my loyalty and girlish enthusiasm. You are who you choose to follow. Someone told me that once. Took me years to understand what he meant.
There's wisdom in that.
It was a chevalier who said those words to me. A powerful man, but never without honor. A true knight. We met as competitors in the Grand Tourney. He left me with that advice before we parted. Put aside his own ambitions to help me win the melee. I don't think I even thanked him.
What is this Grand Tourney?
You've never heard of it? The Grand Tourney of the Free Marches. It's a spectacle. Song, dance, wine, every amusement you can imagine. But the greatest part is the contest of arms. Prove yourself in the Grand Tourney, and you can make your fortune.
How did he help you?
There were 100 men on the field, each one fighting for himself. The knight and I had forged an alliance. It was just the two of us, and we took all comers. The goal, down as many opponents as possible. He always let me deliver the final blow.
He must have wanted something from you to help like that.
A pupil, a squire. Someone to teach and to mold. He saw my potential. When it was over, he offered to mentor me. To teach me to become a chevalier like him. And I, young and stupid, turned him down flat. I just won the melee at the Grand Tourney. I didn't need him. I should have gone with him. Perhaps things could have been different.
Different doesn't always mean better.
In this case, I think it would have been better. But I'm older, hopefully wiser. And I think I've chosen the right person to walk with. I've been meaning to thank you. There are 100 things that need your attention. You didn't have to take the time to help me, and yet you did.
If the history you pursue benefits the Wardens, then it was worth it.
You've proven yourself to be an honorable woman. Principled. I've great admiration for you, and I've never been more certain in my decision to join you.
There will be opportunities for us to do even more in the future.
Then I look forward to it.
Let's talk about the Grey Wardens. You must know a lot about them.
Ah, the Wardens. I'm afraid we're less exciting than we seem.
Have you been hearing the calling too?
I know what Corypheus is. He has no sway over me.
I want to hear more about you.
Compared to yours, my life will seem dull indeed.
Your name, Blackwall, doesn't sound Orlesian. Marcher then. Ferelden.
I was from the Free Marches originally. Markham. That was a long time ago. Another life.
I hear that many Wardens were once criminals.
You're right. And when you join, your past is forgotten, so let's leave it that way.
What did you do before you became a Warden?
I was a soldier, a nobody trained to wield a sword and follow orders. I grew weary of fighting other men's wars.
So you became a Warden?
More or less. Becoming a Grey Warden was the first time I felt like I mattered. The life I led before seems hollow in comparison. Perhaps one day it will fade away.
Why did you join the Wardens?
Because they remember honor and sacrifice. Words that have little meaning to the rest of us. Because they lay down their lives for those they have sworn to protect. We all need to believe there are such men in the world. I needed to believe I could be one of them.
How much do you know about Corypheus?
Not much. I always thought the stories of magisters corrupting the Golden City were just that, stories. I didn't expect them to be true, and I certainly didn't expect to find one of them still alive.
Don't the Grey Wardens know everything about Darkspawn?
You don't have to know how a Darkspawn came to be in order to kill it. We're soldiers, not historians. And the world would be better off if people focused on defeating evil rather than explaining how it came to be.
Corypheus stopped being human a long time ago. Darkspawn don't have human lifespans, do they?
No, I suppose they don't. They're unnatural and sustained by evil. It's been thousands of years. You'd think the Wardens would have managed to kill the first Darkspawn by now.
Do you know if there are more Darkspawn like Corypheus?
I don't know. I'm not sure any Warden knows.
Let's discuss something else. What do you think of the Inquisition?
I just know that you could shake this world to its foundations if you willed it.
What do you think of my advisors?
Josephine's lovely, and craftier than you'd expect. The Inquisition could not have picked a better ambassador.
You must have some feelings about our friends.
Have you seen the stories Varric's been writing? His descriptions of me are colorful, to say the least.
What do you think of the Inquisition's cause?
Restoring order is a goal I support wholeheartedly. But that's not the end of it, is it? Not by a half. The Lady Seeker believes we are restoring the Chantry. Others say it needs reform. I don't know where you stand on the matter, and I'll admit I haven't made up my mind either.
We should return to our duties.
As you wish. You are, after all, in charge.
Yeah, always good.
What do you think about the people who have gathered?
Again with your people. Right, which ones?
What about Solus?
I've seen how you look at him. You're in it. Bet he calls out elven glory when he does it.
Anything to say about Varric?
Varric? Too clever. Always saying something, but never saying it straight.
We'll talk later.
Good, right? I'll be here.
And what else did Lady Forsythia say?
That she'd rather drown herself than help the Inquisition.
Anything else? She said she'd have us flogged alive if we allied with her brother. That does sound like her. Cheer up, Josie. We at least have her attention. You always do find the brighter side of things. We are in the midst of cementing an alliance with Lady Forsythia of Nevada, your worship. It's become a somewhat delicate task.
Can I do anything to help negotiations?
Thank you, but I believe I have matters in hand. I dissuaded her from sending soldiers when she learned we'd struck an accord with a brother she's feuding with. Lady Forsythia simply employs a colorful manner of speech.
You're rather good-natured about threats of death and dismemberment.
They are chiefly bluster, Inquisitor. Most of them. But I confess I do miss my staff from the embassy in Antigas. It was always useful to discuss the day's visitors with them.
I have time if you'd like to review things with me.
I wouldn't wish to impose.
If it were imposing, I wouldn't have offered.
Well, I admit there are a few potential alliances it would be good to discuss. Right on the parlor floor, in front of everyone at the soiree. Who does such a thing in front of their guests?
The Duke of Kellington, apparently.
And then there's Cole's lurking. It frightens our guests half to death. Lord Gennard still won't respond to our letters. And Sarah, can she not find a single overshirt without mustard stains on it? Then there's Dorian. The man refuses to take anything seriously unless it suits its whim. Not to mention... Oh goodness. Have we been here an hour already?
It went by so quickly, I didn't even notice.
You're far too polite. I didn't intend to go on for so long. You must think me quite the gossip.
No one else here has your experience, Josephine. Or your stories.
I'll try to curtail their length next time. But I leave feeling less troubled than I have in weeks.
I appreciate the warning, but you shouldn't have come yourself. What if the guild found out, or... what's his name?
Are you worrying for me or for yourself?
A little of column A, a little of column B. I am the expendable one, after all.
Oh, don't worry, I'll protect you. We'll just have to... Well, this is a surprise. You're the Inquisitor, right? Bianca Davry, at your service.
Your name is Bianca.
It's a common name. Half the girls in the Merchants Guild are named Bianca. The other half are named Helga. I lucked out.
I take it you're a friend of Varric's.
Who isn't a friend of Varric's? You have met him before, right?
Why do you both look like cats that got into the cream?
She's taken a huge risk coming here herself. Maybe for both of us.
You're such a worrier. There's a giant hole in the sky. I think the Merchants Guild has bigger things to think about.
Bianca's got a lead on where Corypheus got his red lyrium.
The site of Bartran's Folly, the tag Varric found, has been leaked. There's a Deep Roads entrance crawling with strange humans carting out red lyrium by the handful.
How do we know they're not using multiple entrances to get to the Tig?
Navigating the Deep Roads isn't like the surface. There's no accurate maps of the whole system, and there are cave-ins, darkspawn, lava floods. If you find a route that gets where you're going, you don't deviate. Trying to find another way could be deadly.
Who could have given away the Tig's location?
There were a few people who knew. Hirelings from the expedition, a couple of close friends.
How they found out isn't important. What matters is we know where they are now.
If it's such a secret, how do you know about it, Bianca?
I told her. Right after the expedition, I wrote and told Bianca what we found. I had artifacts that needed buyers, and she had more contacts that would pay for them. Plus, I owed her.
You can get there from Orlais. It's a long way to the free marches.
The deep roads are all connected. Or they used to be. Collapses and such. Some of them on purpose.
They really are roads. They spanned the Dwarven Empire, went to every corner of the continent, maybe further. In theory, you can get to any Tig using the deep roads, but in practice, there's a reason nobody uses them anymore.
We need to deal with this. As long as he has this source, Corypheus is that much more powerful.
I couldn't agree more.
I'll keep an eye on their operation. If you're interested in shutting it down, you've got my help. Try not to leave me waiting too long, Varric. I've got my own work to do, you know.
Right. That's not going to be trouble at all. Let me know when you want to head to the entrance.
Red Templars. What's so important that Corypheus sent them out here?
Mercenaries?
Looks like Carta. Lyrium smuggling would be profitable around here.
Finally. I started to think you weren't coming.
Nobody said you had to hang out in the creepy cave while you waited.
Well, I did wait, so let's make this quick. These idiots are carrying the red lyrium out in unprotected containers. We don't want to stick around long enough for it to start talking to us.
Why would the containers need to be protected?
Lyrium is incredibly dangerous in its raw form. It can poison or kill dwarves, and we're resistant to it. Sometimes it just explodes. No warning.
Basically, only crazy people mine lyrium.
The mining cast doesn't just sling it into a bucket. It's carried in special containers that keep it under control. And that's normal lyrium. The red stuff is worse. I wouldn't be surprised if most of their miners die just digging it up.
You seem to know more about the effects of red lyrium than most.
Varric told me plenty about what it did to him. And his brother.
How did you find this operation in the first place? There must be hundreds of deep roads entrances.
I've used this entrance in the past. Varric's not the only surface dwarf to explore the deep roads. Oh, I've got to admit, I was pretty surprised when I came here and found it full of humans.
If you're coming with us, I hope you can handle a fight.
No, I thought I'd cower helplessly while you do all the work.
She's a decent shot.
Decent?
You want me to admit you're better than me? In front of the Inquisitor?
Let's not waste any more time, shall we?
Must be an old dwarven outpost.
What was it for?
Trade, maybe? Your guess is as good as mine.
So this is what you do now?
Beg pardon?
Skulking around in caves, shooting guys? Is this your day-to-day?
I usually try to avoid the caves.
Darkspawn.
We may be too close to the surface for these to count as deep roads. But have I mentioned I hate the deep roads?
You had me worried, you know.
What did I do now?
That letter you sent me about the red lyrium was the first I'd heard from you since the Chantry explosion.
Had it been that long?
Seriously, if you died in that mess, I'd have come back to Kirkwall and dug you up just to kick your ass.
What would you do if I'd been cremated?
Kick your ashes, of course. I built these doors. They probably shut this one from the other side when they heard the ruckus we were making. Ta-da!
You've been here often enough to renovate the cave.
You already know I've used this entrance in the past. I don't know if Eric's told you, but the Merchants Guild is cutthroat. Literally. I built the doors to keep rivals from following me down here and arranging accidents.
Admit it, you've been waiting to do that since we arrived.
Of course I was. After you. Bogdan? He's in Navarra right now, selling my machine to wealthy landowners.
I heard some of the guild were trying to get you named a paragon for that contraption.
That's not gonna happen, even if I am 10 times the Smith Bronca ever was. A surfacer paragon? Never. You know, this is almost fun. Kinda like old times.
I don't recall us ever shooting people together.
Remember crashing Bartram's guild dinner? We might as well have shot him.
This isn't nearly as dangerous as pissing off my brother.
There you are. You won't be able to use this entrance again.
Bianca.
You want to say something, Varric?
Andraste's ass, Bianca. You're the leak?
When I got the location, I went and had a look for myself. And I found the red lyrium, and I studied it.
You know what it does to people.
I was doing you a favor. You've had people studying it for years now, and they've come up with nothing. I just wanted to figure it out.
How did you go from studying red lyrium to giving the location to Corypheus?
I found out that red lyrium... it has the blight, Varric. Do you know what that means?
What? The two deadly things combined to form something super awful?
Lyrium is alive, or something like it. Blight doesn't infect minerals, only animals. I couldn't get any further on my own, so I looked for a Grey Warden mage. Blight and magical expertise in one, right? And I found this guy, Larius. He seemed really interested in helping my research. So I gave him a key.
Larius? He was the Grey Warden we met in Corypheus's... Oh, shit. I knew something seemed off.
I didn't realize until you said you found red lyrium at Haven. I came here and, well, then I went to you.
You had to know we'd figure out what happened, Bianca. Why did you insist on coming with us?
Varric told me what people were doing with the red lyrium. I had to help make this right.
You told Varric you had a lead, so we'd straighten out your mistake.
I know I screwed up, but we did fix it. It's as right as I can make it.
This isn't one of your machines. You can't just replace a part and make everything right.
No, but I can try, can't I? Or am I supposed to wallow in my mistakes forever, kicking myself, telling stories of what I should have done?
Ha! As if I would tell stories about my own mistakes.
The red lyrium is out. Closing this entrance won't undo that.
We've done all we can here. Bianca, you'd better get home before someone misses you.
Varric.
Don't worry about it.
Get him killed, and I'll feed you your own eyeballs, Inquisitor.
I'm glad to have answers, but... shit. The second she showed up here, I knew. I let this mess happen. I gave her the Tig. I am not good at dealing with shit like this.
I don't think anyone is equipped any better than you are.
No, the point is... I don't deal with things. If Cassandra hadn't dragged me here, I'd be in Kirkwall right now pretending none of this was happening.
You know that's not true. You've worked as hard as any of us to stop Corypheus.
Is that true? I don't even know anymore. Thank you for your help back there.
After all this, do you think you'll see Bianca again?
I always do.
Inquisitor, is it true? Is the mark on your hand magic cast by Corypheus?
Corypheus claimed it's a spell gone wrong.
I wanted to think it was a blessing. A sign the Maker was returning to his creation. How credulous of me.
The anchor's nothing more special than a misfired spell.
At least you had the good fortune to take it from Corypheus. Does it hurt? The anchor, that is.
It looks strange, but it hasn't done me harm.
If it did come from Corypheus, that's a small mercy. A situation requires your attention, Inquisitor. Noble Chantry loyalists in the city of Jadar are spreading accusations that you're responsible for the Divine's death. They're unusually organized. I recommend we send people to Jadar to deal with the matter.
Will anyone even believe me if I claim I didn't kill the Divine?
Perhaps if they learn about your heroics. We should emphasize how you stopped the breach devouring the sky. Even in Jadar, it may win you a few admirers.
What does the nobility gain by saying I murdered Justinia?
A scapegoat to begin with, but I wonder if the Grand Clerics are at work. Those immediately eligible to be divine died at the Conclave. The ones remaining were not as favored. They may look upon you as a rival for influence.
Why don't we counter these falsehoods by starting rumors of our own?
A whisper campaign. It would show those in the know we have some subtlety at our command. We've an interesting development, Inquisitor. A petition from citizens of Val Royal. They wish to know what Andraste said to you in the Fade.
They think she spoke to me.
Even Leliana can't trace the rumor's origin. It may be expedient to respond to those asking for Andraste's words.
It's not Andraste who saved me.
Few people outside Skyhold know it was Divine Justinia who delivered you from the Fade. You could attempt to tell Val Royal's citizens the truth, though it may not be as inspiring as they hope.
Tell these petitioners Andraste said she cares for us, always, as she walks by the Maker's side.
A fine sentiment. We will have it proclaimed in Val Royal.
How do you stay so civil with everyone, Josephine?
Bonds of circumstance among the nobility are fickle. Civility is the only constant everyone admires. And I do deplore rudeness in those who know better.
Does it even become a strain sometimes?
Well, it can be trying. There is no shortage of self-regard among the nobility. The game can be wearying, discouraging, and extremely baneful. But honestly, I'd miss meeting people. I've made the most fascinating friends.
One good thing about becoming Inquisitor has been meeting so many different people.
I'm pleased. I imagine we appear a strange bunch to those outside our circle. Mages, Templars, Seekers, and an apostate elf are not often found working in harmony. Or at all.
Who rules Antiva?
Officially, the Principality of Antiva is governed by His Majesty King Fugelno II. In reality, Antiva's merchant princes rule the country in everything but name. Quite loudly, I might add.
What sort of dealings did you have with these merchant families?
As ambassador, I attended Privy Council meetings in a mediatory capacity. May I just say, one has never heard an argument until they've sat in on 15 princes howling down each other's tariff suggestions.
If you must deal with legislation, at least it's lively.
It's all a part of life in Antiva. Our traditions value passion and romance. A certain exuberance of style.
Are you positive you're Antivan?
I can be most exuberant when it's called for. Just at the right moments, and in a proper fashion. Might we speak of something else?
Tell me about the Montiliers.
Well, my parents are alive and in good health. They live in our estate in Antiva City. Of my 4 siblings, most attend to the running of the family vineyards. That reminds me, I must ask someone to make sure Yvette attends the spring reception at the palace. My youngest sister has no head for social engagements.
Why are you overseeing your siblings' social lives?
It's Antivan custom. After a certain age, the heir apparent runs the family's estate to prove they're worthy of succession. If you're unfit for the task, the heads of the house, usually one's parents, may decree a new heir.
What do these Antivan heads of their households do if they don't run it?
They work and provide guidance. I've taken advice from my parents. Well, mostly mother. Father's more of an artist. It's rather gauche, but we never can dissuade him from running his own salons. Between him and my siblings, Mother's looking forward to my taking over the estate.
I imagine there must be give and take between a family heir and their parents.
There is a fair amount of arbitration. Bickering, if one is less polite. But managing the estate is my duty. As much work as it is, I will not shirk it.
Is running your family's estate that important to you?
I'm responsible for their welfare. A Montilier never shuns their familial duty. Taxing, as those duties can sometimes be.
Maybe your siblings could help lighten your burden.
You don't know them. But Lorien in charge, or Antoine, or Yvette? No, truly. It must be me.
Where were you raised, Josephine?
I was born in Antigas City, but when I turned 15, Mother declared I'd attend finishing school in Val Royaux. But I bawled into her skirts the day I had to leave.
You must have missed her terribly.
I did. And she was most unsympathetic to my wailing. But my mother only wanted the best for me. Living in Orlais was an education in itself.
What did you learn at this finishing school in Val Royaux?
Among other things, mathematics, rhetoric, poetry, history, logic, and a great deal of etiquette. I still remember Madame Beventir's switch on my knuckles when I forgot the basic tenets of Nevaran dining customs. For a dowager approaching her 80th year, she had quite the arm.
How did the younger you like Val Royaux when you arrived?
Have you ever stepped into a new city and felt the buildings couldn't possibly be real? That was Val Royaux to me. So beautifully foreign, I gaped at its spires for months.
Does Antiva City have nothing that compares to Val Royaux?
Antiva City is a jewel among the capitals. But I did not appreciate that before I traveled. There are multitudes of places I'd like to see. Saharan, the Anderfels, whatever lies past the Amaranthine Ocean.
You haven't really gone into detail about how you know Leliana.
We met... let me think. We met the last few years of my schooling, but we became friends after I became ambassador to Olay. It seems terrifyingly long ago now.
How exactly did you and Leliana reconnect in the Inquisition?
I discovered my family had been overcharging a merchant we traded with for months. Our name carries a great deal of trust in Antiva. I spent weeks arranging a string of favors as suitable recompense. Apparently satisfied, the merchant extended me an invitation to her estate. Leliana greeted me in place of the merchant.
I assume the entire problem was some form of trial.
You assume correctly. Leliana claimed she needed someone of painful integrity for the Inquisition. I accepted, once she finally explained what it was.
Do you remain close?
Yes, but she's grown so much more distant than the outgoing woman I met in Val Royaux. Leliana used to wander the Orlesian courts, singing the sweetest songs, charming the greatest wits. Now she collects secrets and takes risks that would make empires tremble. I worry, but she will not hear it.
Does Leliana confide in you?
She enjoys revisiting our more disastrous adventures. Leliana used to concoct the most ridiculous plans. Run if you ever see her with a twine ball, a measuring stick, and a handkerchief.
You said the Montiliers used to run an entire trading fleet. What happened?
There was a scandal in Val Royaux more than an age ago. The Montiliers were forbidden from trading with Orlais. Our personal fortunes never quite rebounded.
Does anyone in Orlais even remember what that scandal was?
I doubt it, but the injunction persists.
What exactly happened?
An affair with a minor lord. Perhaps. Most other details are lost.
Are you saying your family's livelihood was ruined because of a love affair no one even remembers?
Essentially. Orlesian politics are full of these unhappy little missteps, Inquisitor.
Let's speak later.
Farewell.